Welcome to the most unbiased and unfiltered podcast around. Welcome to the Bulls Guys podcast. I am your host, Kenyatta Wright. My partner, Greg, is off tonight, but we do have another Bulls brother here, my brother from another mother, my Bulls brother, Kataka. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, brother?
Got a decent show tonight, Kataka. Going to talk some NBA Finals. We're going to talk all of the Bulls moves that were made. Andre Drummond, Goran Dragic, Dalen Terry. Was that a smart pick for the Bulls instead of getting a big man? We're going to talk about all of that and much more after this quick break. You want the most uncensored and blunt podcast? The Bulls Guys podcast. As only K-Dub and Greg Love can bring it to you. Follow us on Anchor, Spotify, and all social media platforms. All right, so we're back on the Bulls Guys podcast. And Kataka, there was a lot of moves made in the offseason. And in this special Bulls Guys podcast episode, special offseason episode. And how was your summer, brother?
Oh, man, been busy, man, but it's been good, man. How about yours?
It was good, you know. I've been paying close attention to the Bulls and all of the moves that they were making. And this is a podcast that I really wanted to do to dive into these moves. And first off and foremost, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, our beautiful audience that have been following us for so long, following our shows, and we bringing you this special episode. This is not a segment of season 2. Season 2 has not started yet for the Bulls Guys podcast. This is just a special episode we're doing on all the off-season moves since July 1st. So, Kataka, what do you think about the off-season moves? The Bulls picked up Andre Drummond at first. Then they end up picking up Goran Dragic about a couple days ago. A pick that I personally like. I don't know how I feel about the Andre Drummond thing as of yet. If we're getting the Andre Drummond that played in Detroit, then yeah, I would love that. But it seems like he's taken a step back and has been regulated to a role player now. And Goran Dragic, the same thing. But Goran Dragic is a system point guard, and he's a point guard that I feel that the Bulls do not have right now. He's the type of point guard that I feel we do not have. He moves the ball extremely well. He's a pass-first point guard, not concerned about scoring, can score efficiently when he does try to score, can really shoot it. He can get anywhere he wants on the floor, can make nifty passes to his teammates. And he's a system point guard that I feel that Billy Donovan actually needs to be that coach on the floor. What do you think about these moves?
To be honest with you, I'm not too mad about it. I mean, of course, I would have loved to have Mo Bamba or, Gobert. I know we talked about that before, but you know what? With Drummond, I'm not too upset. Like you say, if I can get the Philadelphia 76ers Andre Drummond and back up Embiid, I'll take it. I've been watching his numbers. He's double-double guy. Of course, he's not going to be the Detroit Piston Andre Drummond, but if we can get somebody that definitely give us at least a double-double or really close to it, I mean, he's a much bigger upgrade than Tony Bradley, so I'm not mad about that. With Goran, like you say, he's a system guy, pass first, the guard that we don't have. Definitely going to be somebody who has that veteran presence, you know what I'm saying, and definitely going to be able to teach the younger guys, pretty much how to be true point guards. Mm-hmm. Then, like you say, he can shoot pretty high still if he needs to shoot from the three-point line, and I know he's definitely going to be a solid backup to Lonzo. But I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with this system. I know you still got Caruso. I mean, you still got Ayo. You know what I mean? Even though Ayo, could shift between a point guard and a shooting guard. It all depends how they put him. But you still got Kobe White. Mm-hmm. So I'm still kind of curious what they're going to do, how they're going to line them up. Hopefully we don't play small ball. But I'm hearing that tomorrow's the deadline for Tony Bradley's or that MLE exception, that mid-level exception or something like that. Tomorrow's the deadline, so I'm curious to see if they're going to cut him, or because I think if they cut him, that frees up about $5.5 million or something like that. So, we'll see. But I like the Terry draft, but I was hoping for EJ Liddell, because I think if we would have drafted him, I mean, he was still on the board. I
Right.
think that would definitely solidify power forward issues, but I don't know. Maybe they got something in the making. I'm still kind of leery, but we'll see.
Oh man, speaking of that draft pick, Kataka, my brother, I was just confused by that pick. And the crazy thing is, I had it in the back of my mind that that's something that AK was gonna do, and I was hoping that he did not do that, but he got another wing player. And now this guy's 6'7", he's gonna play small forward, but he's still a wing. He still plays like a guard. And I was more so looking for somebody that would dominate the paint. But they corrected that with getting Andre Drummond and getting Andre Drummond and having Vooch already.
Right.
So I guess if you add those two together, that would be somewhat good. But Vooch is still a weakest link on defense. But what I was talking to one of my brothers, my Bulls brothers today, my brother LaSalle, let me call him out, give him a shout out, my Bulls brother. I was talking to him today and I said, man, if we was to get Tristan Thompson back and you add Tristan Thompson with Drummond, now we got something.
Mm,
Because those two
yeah.
guys are physical dogs right there. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, Kataka? But to have Tristan by himself, I don't think he's a guy that can carry all of the defensive load on himself. But if you add him with a guy like Drummond, now we got something. Now Vooch probably ain't even got to play as much defense. And if you want to go big, you can play those three together. And Vooch at the small forward, as crazy as that might sound, but he can stay out there and shoot, and do what he does while those two pound the paint,
Mm,
and then we can go big in the backcourt as well and put Zach at the point and Debo. If you
mm,
want to do it like that, or you can do, Caruso and Debo, however you want to mix that, the guard lineup. But I don't know. I don't think our center concerns and our defensive concerns to guard the rim is taken care of. And speaking of that, we have DeAndre Ayton, who's a free agent, and DeAndre Ayton, the 2018 number one pick, or 2013, I'm sorry,
mhm.
number one pick in the draft. And was it 2018, right? Number one pick.
2018. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
2000.
first overall pick. And he's available. And his situation is so interesting because the Suns can match whoever offers for him. But I don't think
Mm,
the Suns are going to match it because the Suns really want to part ways with DeAndre. And I don't know what happened in that playoff series against Dallas. But all I know is that Monty Williams was calling DeAndre Ayton a quitter in that series during that game 7, saying he
mm,
quit on the team. That's a marriage it's gonna end. It's gonna end. They're not gonna match anything. And the most interesting part, I haven't heard any offers for Aiton. So this is a guy that maybe his value is low, and the Bulls can swoop in there and pick him up, but the Bulls will have to go over the cap. But this was a promise that AK did make to us that they would go over the cap, or Michael Ronsdorf made to us, is that they would go over a cap for a winning team. This is a winning team right here. The Bulls were 46-36 last year, only 5 games worse than the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that they lost to in the first round.
mm.
So the Bulls weren't far off, and they started the season as the first seed, but not having that big man, not having that physicality inside, not having that defense inside, to stop points at easy scores at the rim. That's what I think ultimately sunk them and got teams familiar with them. And the Bulls just couldn't recover. Took that slide right after the All-Star break of being
Right.
38-21, tied with the Miami Heat, and then you just had that slide. But long story short, I just wanted AK to focus on that side of the ball game, because we didn't need. I mean, listen, Dalen Terry is an explosive guard. I watched some of his highlights in college. He really attacks the rim. He's very explosive. You throw the ball anywhere, he can get up and get it and get the alley oop. He's a playmaker. He can shoot it. He can shoot the ball from anywhere. He has that little one-handed floater. Very,
Mm,
very great player. His numbers is not too astonishing, 8, 3, and 4, but it's pretty decent. But once you get the pros, you get into the pros and you start playing against pros, they'll help you, increase your level of perfection, at what you do, and you will
right.
get better playing against men. So that's
Right.
gonna take care of itself. But the kid has the making to be a star. Now, will he be a star? That remains to be seen. But
Right.
see, the thing is, Kataka, when I talk in this bullseye group, it's nothing personal against who we draft. People think it's something personal against the player, or I'm saying they can't play, they're not good enough. No, they're good. They're just not what we need.
Exactly.
They're
Exactly.
not fulfilling a weakness to what the Bulls need. And, like I said, Andre Drummond, they tried to correct it with him. But I don't know, man. Andre Drummond's kind of watered down these days, Kataka.
Yeah. Yeah. He's good thing is he's still under 30.
Right.
And he's coming off the bench. But I'm gonna backtrack a little bit on the DeAndre Ayton thing.
Mm-hmm.
With DeAndre, rumor has it that the dude spends a lot of time. I don't know how true this is. That he spends a lot of time gaming, and he don't
Mm-hmm.
work on his craft.
Right.
They say the dude play games all night, get 2 hours of sleep. You know what I'm saying? Then shows up for practice. That's probably why Monty Williams called him a quitter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they had a big falling out. I did hear that the Nets. I think they said the Nets. I don't know if they said he was interested in him, but they're just not willing to give up a lot. Because they're gonna have to give up. They're gonna want Booker too. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And that ain't happening.
Yeah, they're not.
So
And the Suns kind of closed the door on that theory, because it was, for a minute, it was, the Nets asking for Booker in exchange for Durant, but the Suns killed that real quick and gave him over
exactly,
$200 million and said, no, this
exactly,
is our guy.
exactly. So I don't know. That's why I'm still thinking that AK may be still up to something. Because why the hell you would have all these damn guards?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you still ain't solidified. Because they still high on Patrick Williams for some reason. You know how I feel about Patrick Williams, even though he was injured, but still he hasn't shown to me that he's not a power forward. So I don't know why they still trying to put him at power forward.
Mm-hmm. The
Um,
All-Stars.
yeah, they all talking about this. I don't know if you've heard about this two-way player they got, Justin Lewis. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's like a 3/4. I
Mm-hmm.
watched some highlights on him. I mean, he's like another Terry.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit bigger. But again, he's a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
They still banking on Marco, because Marco's supposedly beefed up to 240 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? From 215. And he's been working with Booch and all that, but I don't know still, if his game is, is he gonna be able to hang? So it's a lot of question marks. I'm with you. When we was doing the old off-season thing, some of the guys on the blog was going at me like, man, why would you want to get rid of Kobe? Why would you want to get rid of Kobe? They don't understand. In order to get value, you got to give up something. You know what I'm saying? If I can throw Kobe in we still got Portland's future draft pick. We still got a 23rd, a 24th, and a 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of them was a lot of them. So we still have assets, but you're gonna have to give up something in order to get something.
Yeah. And it's interesting because nobody's not even sneezing at Kobe's way.
Nope, but the Lakers. But they wanted to give up old boy from Chicago. What's his name? Talon TBH. They wanted to give him up, but we don't need him. We got enough 2/3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need a big man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, speaking of big men, I mean, I wouldn't even consider taking Anthony Davis at this point in his career, man. And I seen the Lakers are after Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And it was crazy because all of these stories I've been reading just was pointing at the Bulls be able to get Kevin Durant, because I knew that Kevin Durant's choices was the Heat and the Suns.
Right.
But they didn't have the assets to get him. So in my mind, I'm thinking Kataka, like, okay, they want him, but they don't have nothing to give up for him. And the Suns basically closed the door on the trade when they re-signed Booker.
Right.
It was who the Nets wanted. So once they did that kind of closed the door on that destination.
Right.
And then the Heat, they got a special kind of contract with Adebayo. I forgot what kind of special contract he got, but he has some kind of contract. I think it's a player option or something along that nature where they can't just trade him. He has a say of where he goes.
Actually, what it is that it's because I saw something about this, because Ben Simmons, Adebayo, Booker, and a couple other players was somehow they was all in that same draft class that you couldn't somehow because them players we signed contracts, they can't trade Kevin Durant to these teams, these certain teams.
Right.
He was one of them. So it has something to do with Ben Simmons still on the team. Now, Ben Simmons, they get rid of Ben Simmons, they might be able to pull something off. But since Ben Simmons is on the team and, Adebayo and you can't trade, it has something to do with that. So that's the reason why KD can't really just go to the Miami Heat.
Well, it was years ago that I did the Bulls podcast with my brothers over there, Wise Black and Mr. Couch over there. And I did a show with them, and they was talking about Kevin Durant possibly coming to the Bulls. And they asked me would I ever have him on the Bulls, and I said he's a diva. I said I wouldn't take him on the Bulls. I said the only thing missing from those guys are handbags, and that's a classic episode. It was the Bulls guys know was the Bulls podcast episode number 15 for you fans out there that want to look that up. And that show, and I did multiple shows with those guys on that podcast, and I miss doing that work with those guys. Them guys were great. But yeah, I basically call them a diva. He's acting like right now, I'm saying and putting it out there, or I don't want to go to a team that doesn't have 2 All-Stars. Dude, if you come to Chicago and you team up with if you team up with Debo and Zach Lavine, ain't nobody stopping the Bulls in the East, man.
Nope.
I don't understand this hatred or this resentment or this hesitant to play for the Bulls. But the Bulls have a roster that if you add Kevin Durant, they're winning right now. They're winning the whole thing.
Oh, they're snatching it up. Yeah, they're
winning the whole thing. And then you have the familiarity of Billy Donovan used to coach Kevin Durant. Everything just connects. Dalen Terry is friends with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant respects the culture of Chicago. He's cool with Zach Lavine. That would work.
Right.
And the Bulls have the best package to offer for Durant because they have 5 first-round picks from Portland.
Yep.
So I just don't understand why the Bulls are not talking to the Nets. I know they gave a call, but it's like I felt like they just did their due diligence and just gave a call. They're not really putting serious effort to get him. But believe it or not, they're the only team I think that can get him and offer a decent package that the Nets will want back. Because I'm hearing now that the Lakers want to offer Westbrook for Kyrie, or they want to offer Westbrook for Kevin Durant. But I wouldn't imagine that the Nets will really want Westbrook. Was he going to be a salary dump?
Yeah, because you're going to have Russell and still Ben Simmons, and they better off just blowing that whole team up. They're gonna have to salary dump. They're
gonna buy out Westbrook. They're gonna buy out Westbrook.
Yeah.
But the NBA Finals, we was gonna talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about that after this quick break. You want the most uncensored and blunt podcast? The Bulls Guys Podcast. There's only K-Dub and Greg Love can bring it to you. Follow us on Anchor, Spotify, and all social media platforms. All right, we're back on the Bulls Guys Podcast. Now, the NBA Finals, man, for me, after the Bulls got knocked out of the playoffs, it was hard for me to enjoy the playoffs. But I actually did enjoy this matchup, Kataka, with the Celtics and the Warriors. Yeah. And I actually picked the Celtics to beat the Warriors. Thought the Celtics were winning 7. I don't know, man. It's that young energy and that youthfulness of not being there before, and the Warriors' veteran leadership and the Warriors' veteran, being there, been there, and being there before. It just looked like they were the better team. They were the smarter team. I wouldn't say better. I would say smarter, because I felt like the Celtics had the overall best team. They had the best defense and they had the best offense. They were number 1 in the NBA in points allowed and opponents' points allowed. Mm-hmm. And I believe they were like 14th in the league in scoring. I believe, or 4th in the league in scoring, something along. I don't remember, but I know I looked up. I think it was 4th in scoring in the league. But they're a hell of a team. And the run that they put on in the second half of their season, man, I mean, the Celtics started the season, they were 11th in the East at one point.
Yep.
And the Bulls destroyed them in Boston. They were up 19. The Bulls came back and beat them. And I think that was the turnaround of their season and woke them up that, yo, we got to really share the ball. We have to play as a unit. And then they turn around and make this historic run to the NBA Finals, defeating the Bucks, defeating the Nets, sweeping the Nets, shutting down Kevin Durant and Kyrie. I mean, I think they beat the best teams to get there. They're beating the East leader Miami Heat. But I just think when those finals lights really turned up, and I think you had players like Draymond Green getting in the head of
all of
all of them basically. But Jaylen Brown specifically is who I was trying to refer to. And they just tore them up. They got it against with a mental game, and they had them forcing shots. They wasn't playing the team. They wasn't moving the ball as much. And the Warriors are the NBA champions again. But I think personally the Warriors caught a break twice in the Western Conference because if Ja doesn't get hurt, I got the Grizzlies eliminating the Warriors.
Oh yeah, they're playing tough. Yeah,
that's just me personally. The way they blew them out without Ja, and then they was playing them pretty tough. I think they took a 2-1 lead with Ja. You know, so I just felt like they caught a break with that. And then the Phoenix Suns getting obliterated. I don't know what the hell that was against Dallas in the Game 7. But them taking out Phoenix saved the Warriors because I felt like Phoenix would have beat the Warriors. Really would have beat the Warriors. They had the team to really beat the Warriors. I ain't even have to be convinced of that. They would have beat the Warriors. You know, that style that they play with, it would have bothered the Warriors. I think they would have beat them. And they've been to the NBA Finals before, so you're not playing against another inexperienced team that doesn't believe they can get to the Finals or play against you, and they've beaten you before in the season.
Right.
Beat you, I believe they even stopped the Warriors from getting from the play-in, right? In the bubble?
Yep, sure did.
So that was the team that beat them. So it's not like the Suns wouldn't have believed they could have beat the Warriors in the series or been intimidated. So that was the team that I felt like, you know, and that's the Western Conference Finals that I wanted to personally see Kataka.
Yeah, I was hoping for Phoenix, and actually, I was hoping for Phoenix and Miami. But like you said, in the Eastern Conference, Boston did put on one hell of a run. You know what I'm saying? But especially when Al Horford, man, that dude, he was like the X factor. You know what I'm saying? Because Draymond Green couldn't do no with him. He had his way with everybody else, but he didn't have his way with Al Horford. Right. You're right. I mean, the fact they was inexperienced, they haven't been that far. At one point, man, they were just forcing a lot of shots, ill-advised shots, and then the Warriors just took advantage of that because, if you look at, Boston actually over the offseason got better. I know we're not talking offseason, but they're actually going to be better next year, I think. With Malcolm Brogdon, they got a legit point guard.
Right.
And they got Gallinari. That was a huge pickup. And they got Gallinari coming off the bench, and I think they did some more stuff, man. So they're actually going to be better. Right. So I could see them actually being back, probably back in the finals, man. To be honest.
No, I don't got them back in the finals.
You don't? Who you have?
I got either Milwaukee or Miami.
Okay.
The Bulls could be in that mix too. Philly made some good pickups, getting PJ Tucker, and I think Philly's gonna be better. You had an injured Joel Embiid in the playoffs. That's not gonna be next year.
Yeah, that's true.
And James Harden, if he could come back in better shape, listen, I like that team. I like that team. We're adding PJ Tucker, adding toughness, and then you got the young boy coming back too next year.
Thibault?
No, the other young boy that's with the dreads that speed down the floor.
You're talking about what is his name? I know you're
talking him too. They got Thibault and the other young boy.
Maxey. You talking about Maxey?
Maxey, exactly. Yeah. He's gonna come back next year and prove with a playoff under his belt. You know, the luxury of having a playoff run under your belt that young, and then now you know what it takes. Now you believe, you played on that stage before. Now you come back next year better. So I think Philly got a scary team. They'll be right there in the mix. But the Bulls have a shot again to be in the mix in the East because there's not that many dogs. The Nets going to break up their team, so the Nets not going to be in the way. So it's basically going to be Celtics, Philly, Bulls, Milwaukee. That's going to be and Miami. So it's going to be 5 teams in the East that you really have to worry about. But
Yeah.
back to the Bulls, man. I felt like AK was not aggressive enough to get winning moves. And I felt like the moves that he made was like, okay, let me get the worst and cheapest player possible. And they still playing the salary cap game. And it's like they told us they would go over the cap. And if you was going over the cap, man, you should have grabbed Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
You should have grabbed Rudy Gobert and you should have added PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker would have gave you defensive toughness, veteran leadership in the locker room.
Right.
And you would have had Gobert up front that's averaging 3 blocks a game. And compared to Drummond averaging 1 block a game. So it's just, listen, you comparing apples and oranges when you're making these kind of moves that AK is making. And
For some reason though, he's in the Vooch. He's on this, okay, let's see what we're gonna do when we're healthy, 100% healthy. He's still playing that healthy thing and running it back with the same 4 or 5 people, you know what I mean, and trying to plug and play the bench. That's for some reason that's what he's thinking. But I know you talked about it. I was hoping they got rid of Vooch. I mean, Vooch was the number one guy to be going, Vooch and Kobe.
He holding up $22 million with his contract.
Yeah.
A year. Like, why would you hold on to him? And Kataka, I don't know if you see my response on Bullseye Group, but as soon as they said he was coming back, I'm like, there you go. We ain't gonna be able to make
I saw that. I was right with you. I was pissed.
As soon as I seen that, I'm like, all right, that's it. We ain't making no moves because he's holding up a big chunk of the salary. And when I heard that they're trying to bring in somebody to make his job easier, I'm like, to pair with him, I'm like, okay, it's over. They're coming back with the same team. They're going to run it back. They're going to add little scraps, but they're going to try to come back. I don't know, man. Personally, in a nutshell, I just think this offseason was a failure for us. I felt like the Bulls really needed those big names to put the whammy on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, listen, you can't argue with either side. I could make my point on my side, but if you look on the other side, Kataka, they were injured, and they had a lot of key guys that were out that they really needed. And even with those guys out, they were only 5 games worse than Milwaukee. How many games worse than Miami? Not that much.
Not that much.
So the East standings was really tight. Like if you lost 3 in a row, like you slide down three spaces.
Right. It was real tight.
Yeah, it was real tight. So I can't really say that the Bulls team is really that horrible, but that issue of guarding the paint is a glaring issue that I know does exist. And I know that's what separates us from the other teams is the fact that we can't stop people from the inside. And we need perimeter defenders to stop those 3-point shots. Teams shot the ball really well against us this year from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that's an issue that they're going to have to correct. But listen, it's still the offseason. They still can make some moves. It's still early.
Right.
So it's not over. But if this is the team that AK is coming back with next year, they could easily really go really far, and they could easily not go really far. All depends on Drummond, man. How big of an addition is he really? Is we overplaying it and because we were desperate? He was one of the big men. But I don't know, Kataka. I don't know what to make of it. Dalen Terry, I guess the way you could look at this is another young guy that you can add to our core that we can build with the future with. And I guess you can look at it like that, you know?
Yeah, I give them, if I have to give them a grade, man, I'm going to give them a grade of B-. I think a lot of other sports sites gave them B's, B+. The reason I say B- based on what you said, we didn't address the power forward because I'm curious to see if they're going to actually have Patrick being still our power forward. Because when they say compliment, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to get somebody a starting power forward. But compliment to them is somebody who's going to be his damn backup. That's not compliment.
Well, see, bringing back Derrick Jones Jr., why didn't you keep Tristan Thompson instead? Derrick Jones Jr., man, listen, he's a
injury prone. He's injury prone.
To get injured too fast. He like a paper dude. Like his body is made out of paper. As soon as you hit him, like a little soft, like he's injured. Like I met him in person. He's a decent guy, man. But listen, dude, like you too injury prone for this. I don't really think he makes a big of a difference. I mean, he gets like really flashy dunks and everything, and he'll get occasional block shot. But I don't think he's somebody that if he's on our team, he makes a difference. Kataka. I think that was another space that you could have used to add a defensive four.
Right.
And speaking of that,
what's going on with Miles Turner?
I was just about to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth. We're going to talk about that when we come back, and we're going to close out the show. But we're going to come back and talk about Miles Turner. Then we're going to close the show out right after this quick break. You want the most uncensored and blunt podcast? The Bulls Guys Podcast. As only K-Dub and Greg Love can bring it to you. Follow us on Anchor, Spotify, and all social media platforms. Back on the Bulls Guys Podcast. So before we went the break, my brother Kataka brought up Miles Turner. The Pacers are really trying to push him out the door. They were trying to push him out the door at the trade deadline. And Turner was kind of agreeing with the Pacers, wanted to go. But once he seen Sabonis get traded, Kataka, he automatically had a change of heart.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to stay. And I heard that he had issues with Sabonis taking his spot on the team, and he wanted to play center instead, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Heard they having problems over this. As soon as Sabonis got out the door, all love is lost, but the Pacers don't feel that way. Pacers still want to get him out. So Pacers seem like they're starting over, Kataka.
They are.
Start all over. But what do you think about getting Turner? You think he'll help us?
If we get Miles Turner, I don't know what his contract is. If you get him to be a power forward, I think that would definitely work because you can actually, you're going to have Boots come out to the three. You can have Miles Turner guard that paint. He definitely going to block the shots, and he definitely going to get the boards. And you can flip-flop. You can have Boots down there, and you can bring Miles, because it's like you pick your poison.
Mm-hmm.
So that, to me, would be solidifying and complement Boots in that power forward spot. I don't know what his contract. I don't know what the asking price is, but if you want to keep Boots, see who can you give up without giving up your core to get, Kobe and some draft picks. You got to give up something, man.
Yeah.
But I think definitely, man, he would definitely be. If you bring him, that would change my grade from a B- to a A+. I would say A-.
I think Tony Bradley, Kobe, and 2 first-rounders would pull that trade off.
Yep.
I think it could. I think it could. I don't have his salary in front of me, but it seems like it would work as far as salary goes. But another guy that we haven't talked about, and I feel like he can make all of this not matter based on who we signed. If he comes back next year and has an MVP type season, and that's our main guy, Zach Lavine.
Yeah.
Who signed the max contract of $215 million. So if Zach comes back next year and has an MVP type season, this Bulls team can go far. With everybody else playing the way they're supposed to play. Vooch playing at an all-star level, Debo bringing it how he brought it last year, and Zach comes into the mix, not showing no ill effects of his knee, not showing that he's not healthy, showing that he's upbeat, ready to attack, looking confident.
Mm-hmm.
And we be hard to beat, man. And if Patrick Williams can do the same, we be tough to beat, man. This team has so much potential, but it all comes from the heart, Kataka. Do these guys believe in themselves enough? Right. That's what I feel it boils down to. But on paper, who in the East is more talented than the Chicago Bulls?
And we really got 5 all-stars if you count Goran and Drummond. They were all-stars at one point too.
Right. So it's like, yo, man, this is a deep roster. You got to put it together. But see, the Nets proved last year, putting names together doesn't matter. A team that has the best chemistry could beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So this NBA thing where, stacking stars up, together, that doesn't work anymore. But Zach Lavine, I feel like next year he has to come in and have an MVP type season, especially with DeRozan outshining him last year. He has to come and bring it this year and show why he got signed to $215 million.
Well, I think that money's going to definitely talk because, that pressure's off him now. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
He had the surgery. He got the stability, so I think he actually gonna come out. He gonna come out hungry. I even saw
Mhm.
videos of Zoe, working out. He's shooting his stuff off that knee. And he like
Mhm.
he progressing with no issues. So I think they're gonna come prime and ready. And to add to that is that you mentioned about Brooklyn stacking. Bulls got some similar type of team as Boston, in the sense they mix older players with young players.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You get all types of skill sets there. So I would compare us with Boston
Right.
on that level. And I like you said, I think we can definitely do some noise if we're healthy and we got that chemistry. I mean, as far as the core, they play together. The new people, they can come in and just know their role, do their
Mhm.
thing. I think we can definitely make some noise again.
Yeah, man. I believe so too. Well, that's our show, man. Kataka, tell my audience what you getting into these days. Tell them where they could find you if they would want to follow anything that you do, anything of that nature. Introduce yourself to the audience and where they can follow you at.
For everybody, I'm a musician here. I got a band called Together Melange. You can catch me on Facebook at Together Melange.
You
You can
mean here
also,
as in Chicago, right?
yup, here in Chicago. Yup.
Yep.
You can also catch me on IG, Together Melange as well. And yeah, we're doing some gigs and hey, check me out.
All right. That's what's up. Thank you for joining us, Bulls fans, for this special off-season episode of the Bulls Guys Podcast. Follow us on all social media platforms with the Bulls Guys Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at TalkingBulls82. Send us your emails if you ever want to be on the show. Any questions that you want us to push on the air, any questions that you want us to answer, we will gladly answer them. And follow us on Facebook at the Bullseye Facebook group. And also follow us on the Bulls Guys Facebook page. The night Chicago. Hopefully the Bulls make some more moves, and they're not done because this team deserves it. This city needs it. A team that is a championship contender and ready to get back to that 90s days. One. Thank you for joining us tonight. Go Bulls.